In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about the Kuleshov effect, developed by Lev Kuleshov in the 1910s, 1920s. And what he discovers is that meaning of a shot isn't necessarily derived from the shot alone, but the juxtaposition of how it is connected with other shots. The famous example is where he took a matinee idol with a plain expression on his face, then intercut it with a shot of a bowl of soup, then a child in a coffin, and then a woman lying on a chaise lounge. When he showed it to audiences, they rapturously talked about how when he was looking at the soup, he showed levels of hunger, and the grief that he showed when he was looking at the child, or the pure lust he exhibited on his face when he was looking at the woman. But it was the same shot. Every single one was the same shot all the way through. Hitchcock also did a good example of this, showing how he could be a nice old man or a dirty old man, depending on what he was looking at. Rear Window is a really good example because you have Jimmy Stewart looking through his camera at buildings across the way. Sometimes he's looking at a little puppy going around and you see a big smile on his face. And then other times he's looking at the dancer dancing around her apartment and he's got a smile on his face. And it's the same shot, it's the same smile, but in one he looks like a warm, caring dude. In another he looks like a dirty old man. Before lockdown, I wrote, produced and co-directed a film called Reset. Reset is the story of Remy. He's a young artist, he's struggling with his mental health, and he's given a small AI device to help him try and get himself back on his feet. And I was quite curious about what effect the Kuleshov effect had and whether it still held up 100 years later after being discovered. And there's one particular scene where he has to clear away a broken photo frame, and my original plan was to have a photo of a woman in there, and you would hopefully work out that it was his girlfriend or his wife or something. I'm very conscious most of the films I make tend to be about sort of heartache and loss and all the very angsty things, which for a man approaching 40, I felt I really needed to try and diversify a bit. So one of the things that we were interested in looking at was, what if there's something else in that photo frame? And what we went for was a sonogram picture of a fetus, of a baby, essentially. The idea we would have would be that it could relate to child loss, and of course with Remy being a man in this case, then that also links in questions about, was there a relationship breakdown as a result, all these sort of things. And we couldn't decide which one we thought was more interesting, so we did both. All the other shots are the same, the actor walking into the room, putting the frame into the box, that's all the same. But when he turns it over, there's one version where it's a woman and there's one version where it's the sonogram. And we were interested to see how this would affect how sympathetic the character was. So we actually did test screenings. We sent out screeners to people, one with the baby version in, one with the girlfriend version in, and it was only demarcated by a B or a G attached to it, so people didn't know that they were looking at a different version to what everybody else was seeing. It was quite a limited pool of respondents. We had 14 for the baby one, we had 13 for the girlfriend one. Unfortunately, on a budget of 0, I couldn't really get any more people in for it. And you did notice that the word grief was mentioned much more for the baby one than for the girlfriend one. Unfortunately, the thing I didn't realise is, obviously for the breakdown of a relationship or the loss of a child, you could say loss or grief or heartbreak for both. So it's not like I got the clearest results in that. We did also sort of tabulate how much sympathy for the character came for on a 1 to 10, 10 being you felt most sympathy for him, 1 being the least. And there was slightly more, approximately 9.8 more sympathetic, whereas it was something like 8.4 for the girlfriend one. So it made it, he was slightly more sympathetic with the baby one. The decision we made in the end was that for a short film, you really had to try and keep the narrative as simple and straightforward as you can. So we went for the girlfriend picture. At different points, Remy is painting the same woman in the same pose. Spoiler alert, it's my wife Claire who also voices the box, so there's a few extra layers of meaning there. But we found that the Kuleshov effect still held up, and that also my research methodology really needs some work. So thanks for listening, guys. I really appreciate you listening to me ramble on about this. I appreciate like 2 people will see this and one of them will be me, but I still thought it was interesting to do.